Hello, I'm Laura Painter. You're watching ABC10 Tonight. Addressing the fentanyl crisis in the jail, Sacramento County Sheriff Jim Cooper sounds the alarm. Plus, Sacramento Mayor Darrell Steinberg gives his last State of the City address, what he says we can expect in the future. Then we head to Patterson High, where students got a special concert from some famous alumni. ABC10 Tonight starts now. The Sacramento County Sheriff is addressing the fentanyl crisis. That's not just happening on the streets, but also inside the jail.
In just the last 14 months, there have been 6 confirmed or suspected fentanyl deaths in the Sacramento County Jail. ABC 10's Devin Truby has the story.
In the Sacramento County Jail, opioid overdose kits are everywhere, in holding cells and general population areas, and there's a good reason why.
Since the beginning of the year, deputies have recovered over 500 grams of narcotics and fentanyl that arrestees have tried to smuggle into the jail. That's enough fentanyl to kill the entire population of Elk Grove.
In the last 9 months, the sheriff's office says 110 doses of Narcan have been administered to inmates, either by deputy or another inmate. Sheriff Jim Cooper says fentanyl seizures primarily come from new arrestees and inmates turning themselves in for weekend sentences.
This person knows they're coming to the jail, so what do? They secrete drugs in their body cavity. Our inability to conduct cavity searches and the limitation of body scan equipment is impossible for us to catch it all.
Here are 2 examples of body scans. On the right, a woman hiding substances under her breast. The left, a man hiding drugs inside himself. Another roadblock the sheriff's office is up against. They say family members on the outside are orchestrating drug deals for inmates using hard-to-trace methods like Venmo and Cash App. Here's one recorded call with a family member discussing the transaction.
But normally you tell me it gets here at 1 o'clock, babe. That's how it happens every time, and now you're telling me it's not here?
That's just what it said. It said it was right at 6.
But Sheriff Cooper says he's most troubled by the relaxed attitude on such a dangerous subject captured in this call.
On fentanyl, I died twice right there in my cell. They brought me back. They're like, they pronounced you dead. I was like, they said you were blue.
All right, sir, go ahead and step on in. Put your feet on the X's.
To combat this crisis, Cooper says they've recently changed the strip search policy at the jail to include everyone who's staying at the jail.
Since we've changed that policy now in the last month, we've recovered 35 grams of fentanyl, 60 grams of methamphetamine, and 11 different cases of smuggling.
Fentanyl is often hidden in drugs like counterfeit pills.
And incoming inmates are shown a video on the dangers of fentanyl.
And Placer County wants Governor Gavin Newsom to declare a state of emergency when it comes to the insurance crisis here in California. We brought you this news last week after county supervisors sent this letter to Newsom and the state insurance commissioner. Well, tonight we follow up with a Placer County homeowner who we met 5 years ago, who moved in part because his insurance was just so high. Now he's paying a fraction of the price from his former insurance premium without even leaving Placer County. ABC 10's Becca Habecker explains.
But something needs to be done.
We first met Craig Casey in 2019 at a town hall held by California Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara. Craig was there because he and his wife had spent thousands of dollars hardening their nearly 5-acre North Auburn property against wildfire risk, and their insurance company still dropped them. They were forced to go to the bare bones FAIR plan, costing them about $4,000 at the time just for fire coverage.
It's unfortunate. We need insurance, so we have to pay it.
Statewide, California's homeowners insurance crisis of affordability and availability has only gotten worse in the past 5 years, with most of the major carriers pausing or limiting business here, citing the rising risk of wildfires, high cost of building materials, and what they consider burdensome state regulations.
It's truly a crisis.
Last week, as ABC 10 reported, Placer County supervisors sent a letter to Governor Newsom and Commissioner Lara asking them to do more to alleviate the crisis and faster. So I reached back out to Craig Casey to see how his insurance situation had changed since we last spoke.
I'm in a different place than I was 5 years ago.
Literally, Craig and his wife moved from their rural property in North Auburn to this new development in Lincoln, Esplanade at Turkey Creek. He says insurance was one of several factors in that decision. Between fire insurance with the FAIR plan and a so-called difference in conditions policy that covers other risks, they were paying about $7,500 per year. Now, for full coverage of their home,
I'm paying $790 a year for everything, and I have very generous coverage on content and everything else.
the developer of this gated community is Taylor Morrison, which owns Taylor Morrison Insurance Services, an agent recommended to the Caseys after they closed on the purchase of the house. Craig says they offered him that less than $800 a year premium through Universal North America Insurance Company. We reached out to the developer, Taylor Morrison. A spokesperson said Taylor Morrison provides insurance options to customers building a home with the company. While purchasing insurance through the company is not required and customers can select any provider, Taylor Morrison strives to offer insurance options that best meet buyers' needs. Casey says he'd still like to see California's insurance market stabilize.
It's a huge problem in this state.
Commissioner Lara has proposed major changes to California's insurance regulations, which he promises will be in effect by the end of this year. In Placer County, Becca Habiger, ABC 10.
We reached out to the California Building Industry Association to ask if they're seeing other developers offer insurance to people buying new homes. A spokesperson said the person who could address that question wasn't in the office today.
So listen to this. After almost a decade of service, today Mayor Darrell Steinberg gave his last State of the City address in Sacramento. ABC 10's Roxanne Elias was there, and she's live in the studio now with the latest. Roxanne, what stood out to you?
Well, Chris, one of the major announcements today included a tease ahead to the possibility of other major developments for the downtown area. He also gave statistics and the reduction in homelessness and crime.
This is my last State of the City after 8 years representing our city as your mayor and 30 years of public office. I will not let up until the 10th of December.
During his last days in office, Mayor Darrell Steinberg vowing to continue the work he's put forward in creating a better Sacramento.
Over the next 82 days, we are working tirelessly on some major initiatives, some major downtown initiatives that, if they happen, don't want to jinx it, will come close to rivaling Aggie Square. I'm going to leave that little teaser out there dangling today.
Mayor Steinberg chose to give his last speech at Sacramento's Aggie Square. He describes the project between UC Davis and Chancellor Gary May as a multi-billion-dollar investment in the heart of 3 historic neighborhoods in Sacramento along the Stockton Boulevard corridor. It's an area he says does not get enough attention or resources.
This is not just another project. It will produce $5 billion once it's built out annually for the 6-county region and new ongoing economic investment.
In his accomplishments, the mayor says he never promised to solve homelessness, but says the city did see a reduction.
The state of our Sacramento is strong and will continue to be strong no matter the crises.
The mayor says he's done the best he could in leading the city during difficult times, but he says a lot more work needs to be done.
These big changes require the forging of new relationships and stepping outside of our comfortable corners. Like we all did at Aggie Square, find those genuine intersections between the activists, between the neighborhoods and business, between the business and labor, and the city will thrive.
Now, on November 5th, voters in Sacramento will have the opportunity to decide on a new mayor. And today, Mayor Steinberg said he would be there to assist that person, whoever takes this seat. Chris, Laura.
Roxanne Elias, thank you.
As summer comes to an end, scientists are scrambling to size up the newest threat to Lake Tahoe. For the first time in years, a new invasive species is spreading in the lake water. ABC 10 reporter Brandon Rittiman explains the threat the invaders pose to Lake Tahoe and what you can do to help.
Lake Tahoe is famous for 2 things: being very big and very blue. Blue because Tahoe holds some of the purest lake water on Earth, but we can't take it for granted. Today, the purity of Tahoe's water is under constant threat, a threat that's easy to miss unless you look deeper.
but we're concerned. It's a new aquatic invasive species.
Dennis Zabaglo is in charge of managing invasive species for the bi-state Tahoe Regional Planning Agency. We took to the water looking for Tahoe's newest invader, which is only as big as a grain of rice. These little spots dotting the sand off the shore of South Lake Tahoe are snails. They come from a different hemisphere, New Zealand mud snails.
Unfortunately, with New Zealand mud snails, there's not a recognized control method to treat them.
When the snails first showed up in the lake last year, we explained how the little trap door in their bodies allows them to survive being eaten alive by fish and birds. Whenever a new critter moves into Lake Tahoe, it messes up the food chain, and it can add nutrients into the lake water. Algae is already growing more easily in Lake Tahoe thanks to a warming climate. Invasive species only make it worse. And if you get enough algae, a blue lake turns green.
From an ecological standpoint, they're bad, but also from a tourism and recreation experience, they're very bad as well.
On top of being tiny and resilient, the mud snails can also reproduce asexually, making clones of themselves. Now that they're here, there's no way to get them out of Tahoe. The best case scenario is
to contain where they are. So if you come off the lake with your paddlecraft or even your motorized boat, you want to clean, drain, and dry after you leave the lake as well, so you're not spreading them to the next water body you may visit.
Clean, drain, and dry is already a mantra at Lake Tahoe. Boat inspections have been mandatory since 2008, designed to keep out another invader.
We've already had at least 17 boats with quagga mussels this year come from various locations: Southern California, Southern Nevada, Southern Arizona, Lake Powell, Southern Utah.
Quagga mussels are native to Ukraine. They've caused untold millions of damage, spreading through lakes around the U.S. over the past 2 decades. Whenever there's water still in the engine or hull of a boat that shows up for inspection, it gets decontaminated.
When we fire this up, it's using on-demand hot water heaters, raising it to 120 to 140 degrees, and we're flushing that area out to make sure whatever's in there is dead.
16 years in, boaters are used to paying their fees and getting their Tahoe tags, but they're still pulling into temporary cleaning stations. That's about to change. Permanent inspection stations are being placed on both the California and Nevada sides of Lake Tahoe in the name of keeping new invaders out. Back on the water, our boat pulls into an iconic place, Tahoe's most photographed spot. One of Tahoe's earliest invaders has hit Emerald Bay hard, over and over again. Invasive underwater weeds carpeting the lake bottom.
The initial effort was 6 acres, and that took about 4 years, and this smaller was 2 years.
Because it kind of came back, like crabgrass.
Yeah, we didn't have the money to keep surveying it.
Each acre of underwater weeds costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to eradicate. It's not like you can just go down there with a lawnmower.
3-4 divers in the water, 8 hours at a time, hand pulling weeds one by one.
Tahoe's been fighting and never quite winning the war against these weeds since the 1980s. It's become a multi-million-dollar problem each year. And that's a potent reminder. Each new species of plant or animal in the lake can disrupt the conditions that keep it blue. Collectively, we have the power to stop invasive species from spreading in and out of Tahoe, making sure everything we put in the water, paddleboards, boats, even our beach toys and shoes, making all of that clean, drained, and dry can give us a chance. In South Lake Tahoe, Brandon Ritteman, ABC10 News.
All right, Brandon's been following this for us. Very fascinating, but I have to ask you, the New Zealand mud snail, it's only been around for about a year, but how fast are they growing?
That's one of the biggest questions we have right now. Within just the last couple of hours, we did get good news on that front. The TRPA tells us that DNA testing from all of the tributaries that flow into Lake Tahoe, they all came back negative for the New Zealand mud snail. That means there is no evidence of the snails moving upriver. That is awesome news. As for the lake itself, divers are still surveying a grid on the lake bottom. It's 10 miles long by 1 mile wide. Last year, they only found snails on the south shore of Tahoe between Ski Run Marina and Pope Beach. This year's data, which should be ready in the weeks ahead, is going to tell us if they've moved beyond that area. We're told it's not uncommon for them to have an explosion of population and then have that really dial back.
But Tahoe is such a unique ecosystem, it's really tough to say what they're going to do in there.
Yeah. Well,
Where they are, there's a lot of them, I'll tell you that.
Well, we know you'll keep following this for us, so thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
All right.
As we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, it was a special day in Patterson. A record-breaking and award-winning band returned to their high school where it all started.
Oh, yeah, it was an exciting day. ABC 10's Gabriel Porras was there for the surprise concert.
It was no ordinary school day for Patterson High juniors Chantel Cota and Gabriela Matias.
I'm very thankful that they came out here just for us and to make time for us.
My first thoughts was really excited because I've been hearing their music ever since middle school.
Excitement turning into the second Eslaban Armado founders Brian and Pedro Tovar walked back into Patterson High.
They all see us as an inspiration, and we just came here to say everything's possible.
This is a city where we all kind of started playing and started to pursue the music, and so we had to come back.
Before the awards, the collaborations with world-renowned artists and breaking records on Billboard's Hot 100 list.
To see the level that they've gotten to is amazing.
Pedro and Brian started here.
There's my class right here.
The biggest change, there's just been life that just goes on, and with the music, we stuck with it, and it turned out to be good.
A decision that loyal fans like Gabriela are grateful for.
Their music is so really good that I love it. I really wanted to meet them ever since I was little.
That big moment finally arriving. And now the big question.
Real quick, do you guys hope to come back one day? Oh yeah, for sure. Maybe in next year, maybe 2 years, but we'll for sure come back soon.
In Patterson, Gabriel Porras, ABC 10.
How awesome is that, huh? Now, the group is not leaving NorCal just yet. They're scheduled for a concert at the Bob Hope Theater in downtown Stockton on Friday night at 8 p.m. We're told some students today even received free tickets. Okay, so the big question is, how are things looking as we turn the focus to Friday and the weekend? And to answer that question, got to bring in Carly, huh?
Oh, all eyes on this, Carly, because we are turning the page to a new season, but Mother Nature has a few ideas.
She likes to throw up all the ideas there for us. We go hot to cold, hot to cold. It is just like the second time we get to cold and then hot again. We are looking at temperatures, though, warming up gradually. As we get into the weekend, we'll be seeing some 90s back in the forecast, especially for that first day of fall on Sunday. Right now in the Big Mountain backyard, a little moving and shaking with the wind and that Delta breeze moving through. Temperatures in the mid-80s right now, a little bit of those upper 80s now in Marysville, 64 degrees in Tahoe with some sunshine. With our weather headlines, Sierra and foothill thunderstorms still continuing for some spots, mostly south of US 50 now. We're looking at areas like Arnold, Sonora, Jackson, getting a few of those showers pushing through. Some areas with the thunderstorms may even see some pea-sized hail. Otherwise, gusty Delta winds will continue for us into your Friday and Saturday evenings. Warm to hot temperatures into next week. Winter weather advisory is still in effect for the Yosemite area here as the highest elevations are getting a little bit of those flurries around 8,500 feet. So way up there, but still happening. Slick roads if you had plans to get through there until 8 p.m. Now we are tracking a lot of the scattered showers through the area as well as some thunderstorms that have been pushing through. Right now, as that low begins to exit our region into tomorrow, a high pressure system will continue to build over us gradually again into our weekend, bringing us warmer temperatures in those 90s starting on Saturday. Now, we will see a lot of those showers and the thunderstorms beginning to come to an end within the next hour or so, as most of them have dwindled down, but clear skies in the valley and plenty of sunshine. Now, this will come to an end as we start moving into our Friday afternoon, evening hours. Everything is gone, mostly clear skies into the weekend and plenty of sunshine and warming temperatures for us as well. Now, the Delta breeze will feel nice, though, as we get into the evening hours, 15 to 20 mile-per-hour wind gusts, and we'll expect to see about 25 mile-per-hour gusts from Fairfield down to the Tracy Triangle for our evening hours. And then same thing on Friday and Saturday. Very similar effects for us. That nice little gusty Delta breeze continuing. It'll at least make it feel a little cooler into those evening hours. Looking here at our atmosphere, we'll see that cooling system moving out and the warm-up beginning as we move into Monday and Tuesday. We can expect to see the hotter days of the week here in those mid-90s. We'll continue to mostly get a zonal flow as we move on into next week. Maybe a few little dips in those temperatures back into the lower 90s by the end of next week. Now tomorrow, mid-80s expected to upper 80s, and looking toward the Bay Area, much cooler in the mid-60s and low 70s. A few upper 80s there in Vacaville, and then upper 80s as well for us in the valley spots from the Sacramento San Joaquin Valley. But further north, Yuba City, Colusa, you are looking at hitting 90s already by tomorrow. Our 3-day forecast, upper 80s turn to low 90s into the weekend, and as we kick off the start of our work week, do expect to get back into those mid-90s for us starting on Monday into Tuesday. We'll kind of even back out to those mid to lower 90s next week.
So while the calendar says it's pumpkin spice latte season, just make it ice,
yeah,
right?
Ice it up.
I love that. Okay, Carly, thank you.
You know what that music means. Hi, I'm Matt George. League play is here around the Sac Joaquin section, and that means the return of Sierra Foothill League football, easy for me to say, and it's widely considered one of the best leagues in the state. And for our Northwest Exteriors game of the week, Davis High School will experience SFL football for the first time.
The Davis Blue Devils are one of 2 new teams in the SFL, but don't expect a warm welcome. Here, the football is as good as it gets in California, as the Whitney Wildcats know very well.
I think they should expect not taking any plays off because nothing's guaranteed here, and then you just gotta just know that every play is gonna be hard and nothing's gonna be given.
It's just gonna be well-coached ball, good coaches, great players. It's gonna be played the right way at a high level. Really big fan bases. Student sections are gonna show out. They're gonna travel. Really, it's what high school football is all about.
But Davis is embracing the challenge that has been a long time coming.
I mean, we've been coming into this league for like a year and a half now, and I think we've stepped up to the challenge and we're ready.
We've been practicing hard this whole week, and I think we're ready. If we bring it tomorrow and lock in.
It's nothing big. I mean, we're ready for the challenge. We're just ready to give this crowd what they deserve.
Whitney will be bringing their welcoming party on the road to Davis this Friday, and the Wildcats have no problem handling business away from home.
Me personally, I love silent crowds. I mean, it comforts me going into those away games, with the home crowd. I feel like we're ready, so shall I see what happens.
As if the excitement around the game wasn't high enough, Friday is also homecoming for Davis and an opportunity for the Blue Devils seniors to make history.
This homecoming, our first SFL game, league game, is going to be big. This is like the moment for all of us, and we are the first seniors for the SFL. So this is like something big. All eyes are on us. So we just gotta bring that energy this Friday.
Well, the energy is certainly going to be at Davis High School. We'll have a full recap of that game tomorrow night on LNT. Why not kick off fall with some good football?
If you ride your bike down the eastern side of Mount Tamalpais, it'll take you to the little Bay Area town of Fairfax.
Well, it's the birthplace of the mountain bike. John Bartel here, making a little pit stop at the Marin Museum of Bicycling.
The Baron von Drace had made a great new discovery. Man could now travel faster and farther with much less effort on wheels.
The invention of the bicycle in the 1800s sure did help people get around, but there was one problem.
There were no rubber tires yet. The magic of bicycling became known as bone shakers.
It would take more than a century for that problem to be solved by a group of riders known as mountain bikers.
I noticed this isn't chained up to a bike rack. Aren't you afraid someone's gonna steal it?
Ride off on it?
Joe Breeze is the curator of the Marin Museum of Bicycling and one of the pioneer builders of what we know now as the mountain bike.
This is kind of the mongrel hybrid right here.
As a way to pass time in the 1960s and 70s, Joe and a group of Marin County bike riders started racing vintage one-speed bikes down Mount Tamalpais. Joe says the event became known as repack races because after one ride, the bearings in those old bikes often needed to be repacked with grease.
If you dared to look back, you'd notice you're being followed by a contrail of smoke as the grease inside that hub is being vaporized out into a contrail.
Not only was Joe a racer, but he's also a bike builder, and after one of the repack races, the organizer commissioned him to build a better bike.
As I hustled it together, it's just primer red, I was just throwing it together, rode it up from Mill Valley, won the race.
That win allowed Joe to sell more custom repack bikes, but it also caught the attention of other bike builders in Marin County.
We're known as the birthplace of mountain biking.
Today, the global mountain bike market is a billion-dollar business, and it's always evolving.
This is very complicated.
Yeah.
The Marin Museum of Bicycling not only chronicles the evolution of mountain bikes, but also the evolution of other bikes.
Is that plastic?
True fact. It is plastic. This is a project of Volvo in Sweden.
The collection showcases a number of experimental bikes that display different possibilities of function and style.
It sure looks unique, but how does it ride?
I think it's a bit of a sled.
Not all bikes in the museum are practical or pretty, but they do tell a story of how the two-wheeled machines have changed travel for man, no matter what terrain they're on.
I'm happy to see it progress. I'm happy to be part of it.
From the Marin Museum of Bicycling, I'm John Bartel. Hope to see you on the back roads.
Thanks for watching ABC 10 Tonight. We're here 24/7 on the free ABC 10 Plus app, where you can always get your news and weather anytime, anywhere. I'm Laura Painter. Take care and see you next time.
Weekday mornings on ABC 10.
I know what we're doing.
We're getting you ready.
Oh, you're going to know first.
About the breaking news that affects you.
What happened overnight right here in Northern California.
And across America.
Plus my 10-day forecast helping you plan and keeping you safe.
That's how we do mornings.
So you're ready to take on the day. ABC 10 Morning News.
And Good Morning America.
Right here on ABC 10.
See you weekday mornings starting at 5.